Story 1, The Package Thief. You won't believe what happened on one quiet suburban street where residents had, for the better part of 8 months, been losing parcels from their front porches with infuriating regularity. Deliveries would arrive, notifications would ping, and by the time anyone got home, there'd be nothing but a small rectangle of tape where a package had been. Electronics, clothing, birthday gifts, medicine. One woman lost an urn she'd ordered to hold her mother's ashes, and that, for a man named Ray, who lived 3 doors down and had had quite enough, was the moment something flipped. Ray was a retired electrical engineer, patient, methodical, the kind of man who fixed things properly, not quickly. He had lost 2 parcels himself, nothing catastrophic, but he'd been quietly watching, quietly thinking, quietly building. He set up 3 cameras, 2 visible, the kind any sensible homeowner might install, and one hidden so cleverly inside a decorative planter that even Ray's wife didn't spot it the first time she walked past. The hidden camera had a wide-angle lens and crystal-clear 4K resolution. It captured everything from the pavement to the front door and halfway down the drive. It uploaded automatically to cloud storage. Then he ordered a parcel, a large official-looking box. Inside, he placed a GPS tracker, the kind couriers use, accurate to within 3 meters, wrapped inside several layers of packing foam, surrounded by crumpled newspaper and a single brick. Heavy enough to feel real. Worthless enough that Ray could afford to lose it. He didn't tell his neighbors. He didn't post on the local Facebook group, which, as anyone who's ever been on a local Facebook group knows, is less a community notice board and more a theater of ongoing grievances. He didn't warn anyone, he just waited. It took 11 days. The box disappeared on a Tuesday afternoon at 2:17 p.m. The camera caught everything. A figure walking briskly up the path, checking left and right with the particular body language of someone who has done this before, lifting the box and walking back down the street without breaking stride. The GPS tracker showed the parcel traveling 4 streets over and coming to rest inside a house Ray recognized. He had seen the man who lived there before, waved at him even, once or twice. He took his footage, his GPS logs, and a printout of the coordinates to the local police station the following morning. He was calm, he was organized, he had timestamps, coordinates, and 3 angles of video. The police executed a search warrant 2 days later. Inside the house, they found a staggering haul. Over 60 parcels in various states of unwrapping, spread across the spare bedroom like some deranged warehouse. The items had been accumulating for nearly a year. The man was arrested and subsequently charged with multiple counts of theft. Ray posted a brief, understated note through every door on the street. The matter has been resolved. Ray. He received a bottle of whiskey from one neighbor, a fruitcake from another, and a hand-drawn thank you card from the woman whose mother's urn was recovered intact from the pile. Ray keeps the card on his mantelpiece. What the package thief never understood, what all petty criminals operating in plain sight seem to forget, is that communities contain people like Ray. People with time, skills, and a very, very long fuse. The longer you pull on that fuse, the bigger the eventual bang. Story 2, The Hoa Tyrant. Now, if you think one person abusing a little bit of neighborhood authority is infuriating, imagine what happens when someone weaponizes an entire homeowners association for years. You won't believe what happened in a tidy residential community in the South. A place where the lawns were immaculate, the rules were precise, and for almost a decade, a woman we'll call Barbara ruled the HOA board like a small and deeply unpleasant kingdom. Barbara had been HOA president since what felt like the beginning of time. She wielded her authority with gleeful precision, issuing fines for bins left out 20 minutes too long, for flower pots that were the wrong shade of terracotta, for children's chalk drawings on private driveways. She sent formal letters for infractions that existed nowhere in the official bylaws but simply annoyed her. She blocked renovation approvals for people she didn't like, fast-tracked them for friends. She ran unopposed at every annual election, largely because anyone who showed interest in the board was quietly discouraged until they gave up. The residents grumbled. They always grumbled, but nobody wanted the fight that Barbara represented, and so the grumbling stayed private. Until a man named Thomas moved in. Thomas was a forensic accountant by trade, precise, thorough, and possessed of the particular calm that comes from spending a career finding things that other people believed were safely hidden. He hadn't moved in looking for a fight. He'd moved in looking for a quiet life. Barbara had issued him a written warning within 72 hours of his arrival for a fence post that was, according to her measurements, 4 inches out of compliance. Thomas measured it himself. It was fine. He wrote back politely, with his measurements included. Barbara sent a second warning. Thomas went quiet. He attended the next HOA meeting. He asked very pleasantly whether he could review the association's financial records, which, as he explained to Barbara with a thin smile, members are entitled to do. Barbara said the records were not available. Thomas pointed gently to the relevant clause in the HOA bylaws that said otherwise. He got the records. What he found, carefully documented over the following 3 months, was extraordinary. Assessment fees significantly higher than the actual costs they were supposed to cover. A landscaping contract awarded to a company owned by Barbara's brother-in-law, at a rate almost double the market average. Maintenance invoices for work that, based on the dates and the state of the properties, had never been carried out. And a separate line item for administrative expenses that had grown year by year into a sum that no reasonable person could explain. Thomas compiled everything. He had it reviewed by a colleague. And then he ran for the board. He didn't campaign loudly. He simply knocked on doors, introduced himself, and asked people if they had ever had concerns about the way the HOA was managed. The answer, consistently and without exception, was yes. He was elected. 3 other new members joined him. Barbara lost her seat for the first time in 9 years. The new board immediately commissioned an independent audit. The findings were referred to the relevant authorities. Barbara's brother-in-law's landscaping contract was terminated. The fence post fine was rescinded, along with several hundred others. Barbara, for the first time in nearly a decade, was just a resident. No title, no power, no ability to harass her neighbors with invented violations while quietly helping herself to the community's money. The investigation is ongoing, so we'll leave the story there. But what's already confirmed is damning enough. Here's what Barbara never reckoned with. Power corrupts, but it also blinds. She became so comfortable in her authority that she stopped being careful. And the one neighbor she should never have provoked, the quiet forensic accountant who asked politely for paperwork, was precisely the person with the skills and the patience to unravel everything. Community doesn't mean compliance, it means accountability. And when accountability shows up, when someone like Ray or Thomas decides to actually do something, the people who thought they were untouchable find out very quickly just how wrong they were. That's the Karma Army. Stay with us. If this is your first time here, subscribe, because we are just getting started.